Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
Welcome into the Fairways of Life show. Matt Adams here with you. The United States winning 18.5 to an 11.5 score over the international team at the President's Cup. Stewart Cink was an assistant captain for Jim Furyk. He was also a vice captain in 2023 in Rome for Zach Johnson. He's catching a plane this morning. He's jumping on quickly with us before he has to head to the airport. Cink, of course, the 2024 assistant captain, as just mentioned, was also the 2009 Open at Turnberry champion. He has 8 PGA Tour wins to his credit, 17 professional wins overall. 5 times he was on the United States Ryder Cup team, 4 times on the United States President's Cup team. He was the 2017 recipient of the Payne Stewart Award. He played in 688 starts on the PGA Tour. 105 of those were top 10s. He was actually paired, interestingly enough, with Jim Furyk back in the 2007 President's Cup at Royal Montreal. They had a 2-up victory over Angel Cabrera and KJ Choi during Sunday's 4-ball matches. Stewart, pleasure to have you join us. Thank you very much for taking the time, because I know you're in a rush this morning. How are you feeling? What are the emotions right now in the wake of this most recent victory?
Well, thanks, Matt, first of all. Love being on with you. First of all, the day after, the few days after these things, you know, they're kind of like when you let the air out of a balloon. You feel a little deflated because they're so fun, and you got so much energy and so much focus, and then there's a void of that is created. So it's always really great to be part of those teams, and whether you're playing, which I played a lot of, or whether you're doing some of the role like I've done the last couple of years. But this team was really great, really fun. Jim Furyk was amazing, and just great memories. It was a great time, and I think everybody's happy with the big win. And everybody looks at the international team, and you can see the quality of the players, and it's an accomplishment to come out on top.
When the U.S. team started out 5-0 in that opening session, only to have the international team come back 5-0 in session number 2. Was that in any way a body blow? Was that a shock to Team USA? And what was the collective behind-the-scenes reaction?
It was a body blow, yeah. I think the typical rah-rah messaging would have been, like, in fact, I even mentioned, hey, we expect adversity. Anybody in the room didn't think they were going to have adversity when we came up here. How are we going to respond? But to be honest, I don't think we expected to blank that second round, and not one player in our team probably expected that. So that was probably the number one thing I was most proud of for our players, is to just continue to be themselves and play the golf they play, and face up to that Friday session with resolve and quality and intensity. And they looked like the same players they were on Thursday. And Friday, they still look like the same players to me too. It's hard to say, from just a little bit on the outside, but the other team played exceptionally well in that session on Friday, and they deserved to win those 5 points.
A few years ago, I was speaking with your friend Davis Love III, and I was talking, Stewart, about Team USA President's Cup, Team USA Ryder Cup, and he stopped me. And he said, Matt, it's Team USA. It's under one umbrella. It's one team. We don't see it as separate from one to the other. Do you buy into that philosophy? Is that something you agree with?
I do, and it's mainly because there's some crossover and some interchanging of players, but there's a core that stays with teams for a handful of years. And so they end up drawing from experiences in the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup both, and over time those just kind of blend together. So the team stays, for a varying degree intact, and assimilating new players and relying on the experience of players that aren't playing anymore that become assistant captains and captains. And so, yeah, it's a team that the Team USA continues to field in Presidents Cups and Ryder Cups year after year and trying to get better and better. And so I couldn't agree more with what Dave has told you.
You've seen firsthand, Stewart, the elation of victory and call it depression if you please, but certainly sadness at the very least in defeat. Jim Furyk has felt both sides of those as captain. How important do you think this victory is for him personally and from a reputation standpoint that now he has won emphatically in this President's Cup?
Well, I don't think reputation's really at stake with Jim Furyk. First of all, set that aside right now. I don't think Jim Furyk's reputation would have been soiled in any way had we not won the President's Cup. He's safe to say he's a quality guy, and he has the respect of everybody. His experience, though, is vast, and he has that brain, that Furyk brain. He's got a way to he's got a bigger filing cabinet up there than most of us have. I mean, he remembers so many details about all these cups he's been a part of, and he applied it as a captain. The things that have worked well, what hasn't worked well. He was really great at mentoring all four of us assistants at like for instance on Sunday he kind of pulled us aside and said, listen, here's how today's going to go. We got a little bit of a lead. There's going to be a couple of hours where it's going to look really scary. We're going to get off to a hot start. It's going to look scary, and then in the end I think we're going to pull through and win this thing big. And I mean, he couldn't have predicted it more perfectly than what happened, but he was right. There was a 2-hour span in there where it was like, if just a hole goes one way, this thing is not even close to over. And
Stewart,
so
it seems
he just has so much experience.
Indeed, he does. It seems clear that you're on the path, you're in the queue to be a captain of one of these teams or multiple teams. Having been a part of 11 teams now, 9 as a player, what kind of captain do you see yourself being down the road with all of these different experiences that you've had?
Well, first of all, I certainly hope to become a captain one day. I don't know what will happen in that regard. It's kind of out of my hands, but it's a lot of fun being a part of the teams, and I see myself being organized and being a little bit ahead of the process. That's what I would hope to be, because I've sensed in the last couple of years, and also when I was a player, that anytime you start to get a little bit behind and there's questions and the players are starting to maybe start to wonder who they're playing with or who's not playing in a session, that is when things start to feel like they're out of control. And so I have to say when Jim was amazingly ahead of the game, planning sessions one session ahead instead of just the next session, and players just knew what they were doing. Friday, the 0-5 session where we got blanked did sort of throw a wobble into that, but no real change as far as what was happening and what the players were expecting. I think that's a major strength. And nowadays, the players are such in a routine and a process that they like to know what they're doing. They like to know how to plan for it, even 36 hours in advance for rest and recovery and preparation. And the more time you can give them like that, the better off they're going to play, you hope, and the better chance you're going to give your team to win.
Stewart, you've probably heard some of the clamoring right now that with the current record of 13-1-1 for Team USA, some are saying something needs to change with the President's Cup. Where do you fall on that, or is it a let it grow?
I'm on the let it grow side, because I just experienced one from the side of, it felt like literally it was us against the whole world. I mean, I got a strong feeling that there's a lot of people that felt the way you just described, and that they were rooting for an international victory to, I don't know what that would accomplish, to be honest, but that team over there has strong players, and there's a comfort level that our Team USA achieves in the President's Cup that that I would hope that we can find in another cup too, in the Ryder Cup, because it's I don't know, it just leads to good golf, and I wish I had the answer, but I don't think the answer should change a lot with the international team or with the President's Cup format. I don't know what it would be. All I know is that none of us on that team wanted to lose to the international team. We wanted to keep winning and keep Team USA on top.
Stewart, I would love to talk to you for the rest of this show, and I'm hoping we get an opportunity to do that, to really dive into your life and how things are going. We'd love to see that you continue to flourish, but I know you have to run today and get to the airport. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations for being part of Team USA's victory in the President's Cup.
You got it, Matt. I appreciate that.
All right, more coming up in the Fairways of Life show, folks. It is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore. The PGA Tour Superstore is the #1 golf retailer from coast to coast, not only because of their big, beautiful stores from wherein you can get whatever you need, but also because they are staffed by the best. Shop with the pros at the PGA Tour Superstore.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core Holland material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops irons are going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Victory cigar for Team USA and Xander. Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Matt here with you. So I'm trying to figure out, can you think of a time where we had a President's Cup team with a named active Ryder Cup captain as a member of the team? Or if you want to go the other way, fine. A Ryder Cup team with a member of the squad who is already named as the captain for the President's Cup. Again, reversing it back to where we actually had, what we actually had. Keegan Bradley being on that team. I can't think of it. I cannot think of another time where we had this. First of all, because back in the day, say when Arnold Palmer was a playing captain on the Ryder Cup. There was no President's Cup. First one was in 94. So I can't think of a scenario where that took place. So it was apropos at the press conference where, here you have the relatively young captain in Keegan Bradley asked by the media, what did you learn this week? What can you take away from this that might help your captaincy?
I learned a lot from Jim and Tabitha this week. It was the best job I've ever seen done as captain and the captain's wife. I learned a lot from them. I would love to join these guys and play next year. I don't know how that would ever be possible, but seeing what Jim did, seeing how nervous I was today to play, I'm going to push that down the road. Like I've said, if I make the team on points, I'll consider playing. But outside of that, I won't do that because this is really important to me next year. I don't care about my personal gains of playing in the tournament. I only care about winning the Ryder Cup, and I think the best way to do that is to let these boys play and let them do what they do. But we'll see. I don't see it happening, but we'll see.
Now, think about what he just said for a second there in terms of setting the table for the Ryder Cup. He basically just told us he doesn't care what happens with his game, his personal game, in the year between now and that Ryder Cup. The only thing he is focusing on is that Ryder Cup. It's absolutely remarkable when you think about it. And one of the things that I love about sport, golf provides it a lot of times too, but just sport in general, is it gives you these Hollywood endings, right? Think about the fact that the point that secured it for Team USA came from none other than that man, Keegan Bradley. So Keegan Bradley was asked by the media, what does it mean to him to be back on Team USA again after all those years?
I told the boys last night it's been a decade. It's taken me a decade to get back into that room with these guys. And I really took for granted how special these weeks were. I watched a lot of these things on TV and was really sad to not be here. And, we talked about taking care of business today, and we all went out there and did it. I was just lucky enough to be in that spot in the day, but really a meaningful moment in my life. The last time I played in one of these, I was the clinching point for the Europeans in the Ryder Cup. So, fast forward 10 years later, and I got to do that today. Really something that I'll remember the rest of my life.
So if you were this in the first segment of today's show, you heard me ask Stewart Cink about what does this mean for Jim Furyk? Right? Because his experience as a Ryder Cup captain, and he carried himself with great dignity as a Ryder Cup captain, which I think personally is a critically important part of the role, but he did not come away from that experience with a victory. What does that mean? What does that do to a player? Stewart said the reputation of Jim Furyk doesn't need any defense. My words, not his, paraphrasing. But for Jim Furyk, I am curious about how he summarized the week. How does he look back on the week that was and what it means to him? Here's the captain of Team USA.
The whole week's been so much fun. I've always enjoyed team events. I had the opportunity to play in a number of them. The camaraderie, the teamwork, bus rides, the team room. Obviously the competition's amazing, but I just love hanging with the guys and being part of a big group and having a common bond and trying to come together to do something special. And so I guess first and foremost, our support staff from the PGA Tour led by Matt Horton, amazing. We had 9 folks from the tour that were just, giving us all their time for the months and months and months leading up to this. They did a great job. I know every one of us would want to really thank our wives and significant others for all the support. And it's a nervous week, man, and so to have them by your side really means a lot. Our caddies were flat amazing this week. So much fun. And really for me, I mean, my 4 assistants really stepped up. Stewart had a little experience as an assistant captain last year. The other 3 guys, this is their first time in that position, and they were absolutely amazing. The help, the information on the golf course when they had advice. I think just the communication with the players was incredible. I was blessed. And honestly, these 12, I'm so proud to be their captain. And they were, they were a captain's dream. I mean, these guys get along so well, but as you know, they can flat play. And they kicked a lot of ass out there. And when it got tough, anytime the internationals put some pressure on us, they played their asses off for us. And just so proud to be a part of it.
Jim Furyk, the captain of the victorious United States President's Cup team. So I guess my question is, and it comes down to this, does the victory by Team USA and Jim Furyk in any way change your perception of Jim Furyk from the standpoint of leadership? Right? Because for better or for worse, in the court of public opinion, you come away with a loss in the Ryder Cup and questions are going to be asked. Right? Zach Johnson's enduring that right now. So should we expect that Zach Johnson will be perhaps a President's Cup captain, and a victory there will somehow be a reclamation? Don't know. I'm curious what you think about that. Speaking to which, Dom, did you do a question of the day? Folks, if you want to weigh in on our question of the day today, all you have to do is log on to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel, and you could vote accordingly. But, Dom, what do you got?
I did. The question of the day is, who will be the U.S. team's next Ryder Cup superstar? Now, I realize someone like Scottie Scheffler sort of already is that, even though he's quite young. So what I wrote was Sam Burns, Sahith Theegala, Max Homa, or other. You can write in. I didn't put an age number on this, although I could have made it about age, but that's where we have it here.
All right, interesting question. And are you getting any results back from that, or did you just post it?
I just posted it, but there's some stuff coming in. We're at about 30% for Sahith right now, and there's some folks writing in. And again, I didn't put an age number on it, so we've got some people coming in. They're saying things like Patrick Reed should come back. They're saying things like, what about Billy Horschel, who just barely missed out on this President's Cup team? So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot you can unpack there, Matt.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now, I do want to provide some balance here, where I was talking about Jim Furyk and Jim's reaction to this team and a victorious captaincy of it. I'm happy for Jim. I like Jim Furyk. I like him as a player. I like him as a person. I certainly like him as a leader, and I'm happy for him that this happened. Stewart said his reputation was never at risk, regardless of outcome here. But even with that belief, I'm happy for Jim Furyk that he got this victory, and that he was the captain of this 18.5, 11.5 victory for Team USA. However, on the other side, you've got Mike Weir. And the table was set for Mike Weir. Multiple Canadians that he put on the team. It was being held at Royal Montreal. So for the international side, for Mike Weir, the same question, exact same question. What do you take away from this week?
I'd say just sitting here as a competitor, it's tough. We all feel, it's tough to take. It just happened, right? And it's a little bit raw. And I'll start there, but I just love these guys. I love their fight. What I saw out there today all week, from the get-go, is they battled right to the end. That's all you can ask is from the captain is what I asked them to do, and they responded and did that. And it was just a special week, special bonding with all of us guys, all the families. That's what makes the week really special. So those are some of my key thoughts, I guess, as I get started here. And it was just a high. I guess the other thing is just super high level of play. I think on both teams it was really high level golf, lots of birdies, lots of big momentum swings, and really exciting golf as a golf fan to watch. Which I'm a golf fan. It was really great golf to watch.
So when you start to, in summary, take a look at this President's Cup and try to give it some insight, some relevance to the bigger picture. Yes, you talk about leadership. And leadership comes in the form of those at the top, being captains and assistant captains. It also comes from the standpoint of leadership amongst the players themselves. It comes from a buy-in from the players themselves. It comes from performance and the ability to perform. It also comes down to the record that the American team now has a 13-1-1 in record. And when they started out 5-0 in that opening session, I'm sure everybody had the same reaction. If this is the way that this is going to go this week, I don't think it's going to be that long till I'm turning on a football game, because the conclusion of this is already set in stone. Well, it wasn't set in stone, because the international team came charging back 5-0 in the very next session and made it really exciting, compelling from that standpoint, in my view. But those questions, of which basically has come down to, does the President's Cup need to change anything and where they go? And then Dom's question, too, about the future stars that you can weigh in on our Fairways of Life YouTube channel. We're going to go down that road and more with an expert to weigh in on how it happened, why America's able to perform in this setting on this stage when the Ryder Cup seems so much more difficult historically. What are the differences between the two entities and why? And then that big question that I just asked you, do you stay the course? Do you keep it going in the direction that it's going, or is it too lopsided? And if it is, why? You're talking about the best players in the world. We're going to weigh in on all those subjects and more as we continue our discussion here on the Fairways of Life show right after this.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7. It doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after the PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Pleasure to have your company. Dom's question of the day was, who's going to be the next, Ryder Cup superstar? And I realize you're thinking in the immediacy of what, we're a year away. As I've been thinking more about it while we were in that break there, and I'm thinking, one of the places that I would look to would be college golf. And if you looked over the last couple of years, or even this year at, say, PGA Tour U rankings, you've got Preston Summerhays, Brendan Valdez, you've got David Ford, just three players off the top of my head that we could look at and say, the whole discussion for so long, and Stewart was talking about this, how you have a core that runs through now the teams, whether you're talking President's Cup or Ryder Cup, with some slight variances, but basically you have a core. And for a long time, there was talk about the scar tissue, that from the beatings that they took on the Ryder Cup side. And, from what I see on the collegiate level, you've got players coming out, and Nick Dunlap is a perfect example of it, where they're so battle-hardened, they're so ready and prepared and able to compete right now. Clanton Luke's another one I would throw in that. As soon as they come out on the PGA Tour, they're able to perform. And that is not normal. It wasn't normal, I should say. I think it's the new normal. So I would look to that area, too, when people are thinking about that. As I mentioned, bringing in an expert to weigh in on these subjects and more. John Rollins is a three-time winner on the PGA Tour. He also won on the Corn Ferry Tour. He had 450 starts on the PGA Tour, 43 career top 10s. You know John from his work as a golf broadcaster now on the television and on the radio side. John, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. First of all, welcome to the show. It is good to see you. I know that you were a part of the broadcast team at this President's Cup. My broad brush question to start here with you is, what are your emotions after this most recent Team USA victory?
Well, first off, Matt, good morning, and thanks for having me on with you. Looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, it was an awesome week. It was my first President's Cup. I never made a President's Cup team when I was a player. I came close a couple of times to the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup in back-to-back years, but was never fortunate enough to get on the team and get to pick, whatever was necessary to experience that. But I have to say, being up in Montreal, it was an electric atmosphere. I mean, once we, Thursday, I think, as you heard, Tom Kim kind of called the crowd out. Thursday, we felt, and we were talking about that when we were there, that the environment wasn't what we expected. Covering the event, it definitely felt a little flatter than the other 3 days. But once we got to Friday, I have to say that crowd was electric. You heard roars pretty much all day on the ground. So it was just a really fun week to be a part of. And I'm just glad I was there to be able to cover the action.
Stewart Cink said earlier on this program that he felt like it was Team USA against the world. Well, other than Europe, it literally was that, but I think he was throwing in everybody everywhere, if you weren't from the USA, were against Team USA. Is there something bigger that we should read into that, or is this just about one side is predominantly the favorite, the other side clearly the underdog, and people tend to support the underdog?
Yeah, I think that's just it. I mean, I think it's, you root for the underdogs, you get that. But it's also the United States knew that going to Montreal. I mean, they're on foreign soil. It's no different than when the United States goes to the Ryder Cup, somewhere in Europe. I mean, they know that it's going to be the United States versus Europe and the entire crowd that's going to be there. Yes, you get the American fans that travel or that are there or that come out and cheer for the United States team and players, but the majority of the fans up there being in Canada, they know they're on foreign soil. They're there to cheer on the internationals in this format. So I really think that was more of where he was going, being, the United States against literally the rest of the world, because that's exactly what that competition is.
After Team USA got blanked in the second session, over the next two, they ended up collecting 6 of the 8 points. How significant was that comeback in terms of a demonstration of character and grit that no matter what, you get hit in the chin like that after going up 5-0 in the first session, then you get blanked in the second one, to come back and do what Team USA did? What did you think that meant?
I thought that was huge. And I actually mentioned that on the broadcast during the 4-ball competition when the U.S. got swept in round 2 and they came right back out in the 4-ball competition. There were some matches, most of them were fairly close for a while. And that was really the case the entire week. I mean, even in the first day when the United States swept the internationals, most of those matches were one up for the majority of the day. I think 3 of the 5 went to the 18th hole. So it wasn't like it was a complete blowout by the United States. But in the end, it obviously, worked out in the U.S. favor where they won 5-0. But when they got swept in round 2, they were able to come back. I mentioned in the broadcast, if the United States can just figure out a way to win each session, whether that's 2.5 to 1.5 or 3 to 1 or whatever the case may be, that will be a big statement for them going into the singles portion of the competition. And again, those matches were close both in the morning and the afternoon, but they got it done. And I think that's what champions do. When they get knocked down, they find a way to get back up. They rally behind one another and they got the job done.
As you were probably speaking there, you could see the graphic that we had up on the television screen, John. And at the top of that graphic, you had these players in Patrick Cantlay and Colin Morikawa and Xander Schauffele, all of them 4-1. And then right behind them, Sam Burns going undefeated at 3-0-1. You take this wherever you please, by all means. But what do you think in terms of the leadership that you saw from Team USA in this particular President's Cup?
Well, obviously that record right there, that shows that the leaders, the stars, that's what you need in these team competitions. They stepped up. They got the points when they needed to. Patrick Cantlay, Morikawa, Xander Schauffele there. I mean, they led the United States team. Sam Burns, how about not even dropping a match? I mean, that was impressive how he was. And then, I think kind of the overlooked player there, Russell Henley. I mean, you look at 3-1, he partnered with world number 1 Scotty Scheffler a number of times. They were a great team. I thought they were going to be a good team when I saw that on paper, because you pair ultimately the best ball striker in the world, the best player in the world, with a guy that can put the lights out on the greens. I had a feeling that was going to be a pretty good foursomes team, and it turned out that it was. But the stars have to show up in these types of competitions, and this year they got a lot out of their big name, their big star players. Patrick Cantlay, I can't speak to how clutch he was really the entire week.
When you have successful teams, and we've seen this both from an American perspective, we've seen this from a European perspective, we have yet to see it from an international team perspective, obviously. But when you have these successful teams, you have those stars, those anchors for your team, as you were just referring to, John, that have to show up, that have to play well. And then you have players that are through the mix because they're going to be represented most likely on multiple teams for the respective sides that are learning as they go. Then you have a Brian Harman who was 0-3, just had Bad week for Brian Harman, in full fairness. But I want to focus on these players that are learning as they go and how important that is to the future of a team, because obviously I'm going to turn and start to talk to you about the Ryder Cup here in a moment and what this could mean towards that effort. How important is it to pull those other players along, give them the experience that they need so that they then know what it's like to be in this cauldron?
Well, I think it's valuable for sure. I mean, I think a player like Sahith Theegala, he's a guy that I would say we would probably all look at. We all probably expect Sahith to be a member of many more of these President's Cups, Ryder Cups, these team competitions going forward. He's got all the skill set that is required. So I think, someone like that, he was clearly nervous in the opening match. You could kind of sense that the stage, the moment was big. You hear it all the time, and players that have been there, they try to tell these rookies, they try to say, hey, you're never going to experience anything like the first tee shot in a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup, what those nerves are truly like. And I feel like you could kind of see that on the face of Sahith Theegala, but I think that he held up well. I think he played well. I know he's 1-1-1, so it wasn't like, but he set out the entire day for matches 3 and 4. So one of those players for the United States team that didn't get out, I was kind of surprised at that. That they had those 4 players that did not play there on that Saturday. But I think it's very valuable for players like that. Wyndham Clark, you got to think he's a player that's likely going to be on multiple team competitions going forward. So any experience you can get in this type of competition is going to be valuable for not only the U.S. side, but the internationals, and obviously on the European side, some of the young new talent that they have coming up as well on that team. Any experience you get to just get comfortable and be familiar with it is going to help your team and your own cause.
John, how much criticism did you hear, whether it was of the whispering variety or social media or even broadcast, to the decision by Mike Weir to keep it the same on Saturday afternoon? That seems to be the focal point that a lot of people are looking at.
Yeah, we were pretty surprised at that when they released the teams. During the round 4, or excuse me, when round 3 was being contested, and then the captains went in and released their picks for the foursomes competition there that afternoon, and they were the same teams. Now, obviously, you're trying to keep maybe the hot hands together. You keep Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim together. They had all the energy, it seemed like, in Canada on their side. So you keep them together. You had the Canadians, Mackenzie Hughes, Corey Connors, obviously trying to keep the crowd into it. But I was a bit surprised. I kind of thought it was shocking to me that Minwoo Lee did not play at all on that Saturday portion. I really thought he was a guy that the internationals were maybe going to lean on pretty hard and hope that they could kind of get something going out of him. But Captain Weir decided not to send him out. He stuck with the guys that he felt maybe were playing the best. Now, we obviously don't know were there injuries, were guys struggling with something. We obviously don't know what goes into these picks, but it was a bit surprising to all of us that he kept the same teams. We're going 36 holes that entire day on a Saturday.
John, Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim, there was definitely a spark there. There's definitely an enthusiasm there. There's definitely a point of rallying that took place there. My question for you is, when particularly Tom Kim is either questioned or criticized, perhaps for behavior, etc., would it have been any different if the exact same antics took place on the American side? Would it have been okay because it's on the other side? Is that just typical team competition banter at that point?
Yeah, I think it's typical team competition banter. I mean, I think it's they had the energy. They were obviously playing great golf, but Tom Kim, I mean, he was like that 2 years ago at Quail Hollow there for the international team. Trevor Immelman talked about it. He was like the spark, for the international team. He even mentioned that, hey, this guy is going to be a superstar in the game. He's great for the game, but he was great for the international team then. He brought the same energy that he had 2 years ago in Charlotte. He brought that same energy, but the thing about it is he was backing it up with the way he was playing, both he and Siwoo Kim. I can't tell you how many putts Siwoo Kim seemed to make. Every single putt that he needed to make or a shot that they needed to pull off, both he or Tom Kim, somehow they dug deep and they found a way to get that done. But, I think it's just all in the spirit of that competition. I don't think that anyone on the American side, took anything, in a negative light. I think they understood what was going on. Maybe some of it, maybe the little night by Siwoo Kim could have been a little, maybe wait till the match was over to do that. But I mean, I think I saw a tweet from somebody the next day saying, hey, you got to, actually, I think it was Steph Curry that actually posted it that said, hey, you got to know the time and the score before you post or you do something like that. So it was an exciting moment. I mean, what an unbelievable shot that he hit to do that at 16. But again, maybe a little bit over the line there. But all in all, I just think it was in the spirit of the competition.
Hey, John, I want you to listen to this from Jim Furyk. He was asked about how much the flexibility that he had with the week in terms of, he already told us he could really the hardest part he had was figuring out what pairings put together because he had so many different options. But how much the flexibility that he had helped the team because the team had all collectively bought in so much. Let's hear it.
I think we just tried to vet it early. Again, these teams come together. I keep saying it so fast. I mean, by the time the team was chosen, we had 21 days to get ready. So trying to get pairings together and get ready to come in here is difficult. So I think we tried to get ahead of that. When the picks were made, kind of the pairings were already kind of in place. I vetted that with a lot of the players, with our assistants, with our statistical team. I tried to get that in place a little earlier than I did, say, back in 2018. And in that way, if things didn't work or didn't gel, not from a personality standpoint, but maybe just seeing the golf course, we had some options. But these guys, like I said, they were so easy to work with, and the best 12 guys that I could have ever imagined. Could have paired them up a million different ways. I think that was the hardest part, to be honest with you, that they got along so well, the personalities gelled so well. So many good players on this team, 12 of them, that there was probably a million different ways we could have mixed and matched them, and that was probably the most difficult thing. And I haven't always had that in the past, to be honest with you. So that was probably my biggest concern was, are we doing the right thing? Are we playing the right guys? Because I could have done it a number of different ways.
All right, so John, what I want to focus there on was you heard Jim say, I haven't always had that in the past. Well, we know what the past would be when he says, I haven't had it, right? So what is it about the President's Cup that allows players to be open and, as the question was asked, bought in with flexibility of whatever's good for the team versus, by comparison, the Ryder Cup, where, especially when it's on foreign soil, the U.S. team seems to be very, very tight. What do you see as a difference now that you're an eyewitness and you played side by side with all?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, and it's such a, I don't know, it's such a fine line. I feel like, in watching, being a part of the President's Cup this year, and then watching all the Ryder Cups in the past, watching, the President's Cups in the past, man, I feel like the United States team, we just putt better than we do in the Ryder Cup. I feel like we execute shots a little bit better in the President's Cup than we do in the Ryder Cup. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a mental thing going into the Ryder Cup that the U.S. team, puts more into it. They put more emphasis on the Ryder Cup than they do the President's Cup. And because of that, as we all know, when expectations, creep into this game, all of a sudden, things can kind of go sideways. But I really don't know what the difference is. I mean, I feel like this United States team was very close. I know that Wyndham Clark talked about that. A couple of the players talked about the team unity this year seemed to be even more so than what they've had in the past. And maybe there's something to that as well. Maybe we've come into some of these Ryder Cups. I think that Jim Furyk even mentioned leading into the President's Cup this year that, hey, we're not going to necessarily let you and your friend go out and play a match, the way we've done it before in the Ryder Cup. I mean, I know Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, you got to put them out in alternate shot. I mean, they have been dominant in that format. Now, they got throttled in round 2, so it didn't matter there, but they bounced back in the next session there in round 4 to get the point for the United States team. But it's just, I think Jim Furyk did a good job of mixing these guys up, putting them with whoever he thought they were going to play the best with. But I really don't know what the difference is. I think the crowd, the environment at a Ryder Cup. I was in Italy last year cheering on the United States team just as a fan, as a good friend of Zach Johnson, and obviously some other of the assistant captains and players as well. But we had a group that went over there to kind of cheer the United States on, and I have to tell you that environment was way more hostile than the environment that we just encountered in Montreal. Now, I'm not going to say that's always the difference, or that's the only difference, because I've never seen a fan hit a golf shot in a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup. So you still have to, to play. But there's just something about the President's Cup that we go out a little bit. I think we play a little more free than we do in the Ryder Cup. Yeah. And we just have to figure out a way to carry this mindset into the Ryder Cup. And I think that the United States, if they can do that, they find a way to kind of get back over that and win possibly on foreign soil.
John Rollins, a 3-time winner on the PGA Tour, part of the broadcast this past week. He's a part of a lot of broadcasts now, both on the radio side and on the television side. I've had a chance to work with you quite a bit this year, John, on the TV side for PGA Tour Live. I love it. Congratulations with your success. Thank you for your time. Folks, we're going to run to break and wrap up the show right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000 and went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core polymer material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
All right, wrapping up the President's Cup and this show. You know, we've heard the comparisons. We've heard the discussions that something needs to change at the President's Cup because Team USA is now 13-1-1. And they compare it to the Ryder Cup. And they say the great competition of the Ryder Cup. Look, the Ryder Cup is the biggest event in the game of golf. If you compare Ryder Cup, even from a footprint standpoint, to even major championships, it tends to be about 5 times larger. It's that big. But what people forget when it comes to the Ryder Cup was, remember, it started in 1927 at Worcester Country Club. Team USA wins. And it was back and forth until the Second World War. Then the United States took over afterwards. When Europe was in rubble and rebuilding, from that point on, the USA dominated. Yes, GB and I won in 1957. They tied in 1969. Otherwise, it was all Team USA. 1979, Europe joins the European effort. They still got crushed, 17-11. 1981, they faced probably the strongest USA team ever. And Seve, by 1981, said he was done with the Ryder Cup. Think about that for a second. Never coming back. Enter Tony Jacklin, who rebuilt the side. My view is, let the President's Cup grow. Let the Tom Kims of the world be as emotional as they want. If it's out of propriety or not, have fun with it. But it one day will become what it is meant to be. Hope you guys have a great one. Bye for now.